Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms. Find me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. Hopefully you guys are tuned in to the Dynasty After Dark YouTube channel and Rumble channel to be catching all of these videos over there. If you are, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video just to get the numbers moving there. But thank you guys for tuning in. And we're continuing with a few of the Dynasty stashes, Dynasty buys that I would be looking at in the 2022 season and beyond. And today we're going to be going with the wide receiver position. And if you haven't heard, I've already put out the quarterback and the running back. Please be sure to check those out as well on the channel. And last week I had the top 3 at each position inside the top 12 that I think are going to go outside this year and going forward. So today I have 3 guys here that I am very excited about for this season and going forward. So the number 1 guy, and I call these guys buried treasure because all of these guys are very deep down on the ADP right now, and we're using the May ADP for Dynasty League football. And all 3 of these guys are going way too late in my opinion, and they all have top 12 upside in my opinion. So number 1 here, we got Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown with the now Arizona Cardinals. Traded this offseason away from the Baltimore Ravens. He's a Cardinal now, and he is teaming back up with his college quarterback in Kyler Murray. So Hollywood Brown is someone that's very, very interesting for fantasy football. If you look at what he's done through his first 3 seasons in the NFL, it's been a little bit hit or miss. You know, he was the first overall pick in 2019, and he had a lot of hype around him, and he has not yet been able to live up to it. But Baltimore doesn't really have a traditional wide receiver that gets value the way that a lot of other teams do. And if you look at Hollywood Brown, he's been very underutilized in my opinion. Now, if you look at his end of season rankings, last year was 22 in PPR, full PPR formats. 2 years ago, 36, and 3 years ago, 46. So already right there, he's already making a upward climb in his NFL career for fantasy football. I think that with Kyler Murray in this offense, he's going to be able to take the next step in that development for the wide receiver position, and he's going to jump into the top 12 at the wide receivers. So the reasons why, and first off, dude is special fast. He is a freak of nature fast, and a lot of these guys really started to break out into the NFL the last couple years. Those speed guys really got overdrafted for a few years there. Hollywood Brown, you could make that case, but his comp coming out was Deshaun Jackson. That's what everybody called him, but he's kind of on the smaller side. He's 5'9", 170 pounds. I think he's bulked up now at this point in his career to about 185, if I remember right. So he's not quite as undersized as when he was drafted, which I think is what the sleeper weight still has him listed at. But he's about 185, so he is a smaller frame wide receiver. He's not going to be the contested catch monster, but where Marquise Brown really he excels on the football field is in the change of direction and just speed aspect. So I really like him for that reason right there. And then you look at the Arizona Cardinals, the team that traded a first-round pick for Brown here, and DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games. They have James Conner at running back and Darrell Williams, Eno Benjamin. None of those guys really profile as major threats in the passing game. And if you look at the other wide receivers on this roster, Rondale Moore, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, who I already mentioned, Zach Ertz in the tight end game, Trey McBride, who's a rookie, there's not a ton of competition for targets. And Arizona, we know, is a team that loves to throw the ball. They like to just really hammer the passing game over the last couple of years. So there's going to be a lot of volume for Hollywood Brown very, very early on in the season, and I think that he's going to soak it up. And again, he has a rapport with Kyler Murray from college, so he already knows him, he knows what to expect, and I think they're going to be able to get on the same page very quickly. And one thing for this team that they've been missing the last couple years is a deep threat, like a true scary type of deep threat. They've had a lot of guys that have been able to excel in the mid-range to short yardage situations, but they haven't had a true deep threat kind of take the top off a defense guy, and I think Hollywood Brown does that for the team. So as of right now, he's going as the wide receiver number 26 in ADP, and I think that there's a very easy case to make for him to be top 12 this season. And if the rapport with Kyler and this team just goes that well, they're going to sign him to a long-term contract, and I think Kyler's going to be around here for a while. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be around for a few more years. Listen to my James Conner breakdown in yesterday's video on the running backs, and yeah, I'm very excited about this team in terms of development. So Hollywood Brown is the number one guy here, and at wide receiver 26, he's going to be a steal in my opinion. All right, number 2 here, we got Jerry Jeudy. And Jerry Jeudy with the Denver Broncos. He is going as wide receiver number 33. He's only 23 years old. He's a little bit bigger than Hollywood Brown, but former first-round pick, 6'1", 193 pounds. He's got 2 years of experience, and so far through the first 2 years of his career, it has not been what people expected from Jerry Jeudy coming out of college. He's coming from Alabama, and he was one of the best route runners that people have seen in a long time. And through 2 years with the Broncos, it's not been able to show up on the field. And you can put a lot of that, in my opinion, and it's always easy to make excuses for guys that haven't been able to break out yet. Oh, he's just a little bit too small. Oh, we just didn't get the variance going his way. Oh, this or that, injuries, blah, blah, blah. But they legitimately haven't had a good quarterback in both of his years in Denver. Well, they traded for Russell Wilson this offseason, and I believe, and I wanted to put Courtland Sutton on here too. I really did, but I felt a little easy and a little cheaty to put both of these guys on here because I think both of them are going way too late. And I think the issue is nobody knows which one of these guys to take a shot on. And I think both Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton can have a very prolific fantasy career. If you look over at what Russell Wilson was able to do in Seattle, and I understand they weren't always the most reliable, but DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both were top 15 wide receivers for a long period of time there. So I think that Russell Wilson is going to be able to feed both Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton because they fit different types of roles. Jerry Jeudy is more of a Tyler Lockett type of player. DK Metcalf would be more of a Courtland Sutton. He's just a bigger outside wide receiver. I'm not saying that either one of these guys, Jeudy or Sutton, is DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but they prototype in those type of roles for the offense. So I think Jerry Jeudy is going to eat a ton over the middle of the field, and he's going to have the most accurate quarterback he's ever had. He's still only 23 years old. And at wide receiver number 33, it's a steal if he's able to return top 12 value like everyone thought he could when he came out into the NFL. And the one thing that has shown up for Jerry Jeudy through both of his years in Denver so far is his route running ability. He hasn't been able to really kind of showcase that on the field in terms of production, but he has been cooking people on the field. So sign me up for Jerry Jeudy with Russell Wilson. He's still got 3 more years on his contract before he's a free agent if they take the 5th-year option on him, which I think they probably would. They signed Courtland Sutton to a long-term contract last season, so they're really wanting to build this offense up, and I really like this offense with Russell Wilson, so give me any piece that I can get in here. Even KJ Hamler, who's going much, much later than Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, but is also very young as well, is another guy that I've been stabbing all offseason. So wide receiver 30 for Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 33, KJ Hamler, non-existent. I didn't look at him before coming on here, but those guys, I just think they're such a steal. And I get the argument that you don't know which one it could be, but it could be all three. So Russell Wilson is good enough, in my opinion, to feed multiple wide receivers in this offense. So don't let that fear make you miss out. All right, the last guy here is old Mr. Reliable. You can put him basically every single year as an underrated wide receiver. Brandon Cooks with the Houston Texans. He is going off the board as wide receiver number 37. He's 28 years old, and it feels like Brandon Cooks is 1,000 years old at this point in time. I understand it. He is someone who, he's been on so many different teams over the last couple years. He's been in the league since 2014, so this is his ninth year in the league, and it's just he's been to so many different teams. Started off in New Orleans. First 3 years of his career in New Orleans, then every year, basically, he's been on a new team. New England for 1 year, the Rams for 2 years, Houston ever since. So it's just been a constant roller coaster of teams for Brandon Cooks. So I understand why it feels like he's so much older, but he's 28 years old. He's right in the prime of his career, and I like what the Houston Texans are doing. They're definitely going to be building around him as the focal point wide receiver for this offense. And Davis Mills showed enough to be okay last year. Now, Brandon Cooks, if you look at his end-of-year career finishes, outside of his rookie season, 13, 9, 15, 13, 62, 16, 20, I just don't see any world where 37 overall is justified for Brandon Cooks, and I think that he's going to be able to return on that value, and he's going to be able to smash it with a top 12 finish. And again, he's only 28 years old. If, for example, let me lay out two scenarios for you. Let's say Davis Mills is the quarterback of the future for the Houston Texans. Well, Brandon Cooks is the number one wide receiver for the team, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Nico Collins and John Mechie are not going to be able to dethrone Brandon Cooks for the next couple seasons. So for 2022 and 2023, at minimum, Brandon Cooks is going to be a stud. And let's lay out the other side of this situation, right? Davis Mills isn't the guy. Well, they're going to have a lot of draft capital to go up and get someone like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young next year. And those guys definitely are an upgrade over Davis Mills for sure, more than likely. And if Davis Mills can make Brandon Cooks look good last year in 16 games played together, I think that CJ Stroud would be able to definitely feed Brandon Cooks as a rookie. So I'm not concerned about that whatsoever. So quarterback situation aside, doesn't really change my feelings on Brandon Cooks. I think that he is a massive steal right now, especially at wide receiver 37. That's free money. These guys are buried treasure because they're so far down the ADP, and they're going to be able to return top 12. And if not top 12, maybe they don't make a jump up into the top 12. But top 15 for all three of these guys, can you honestly make a case why they're not going to be able to do that? So I just think that these guys are very undervalued right now, and hopefully you guys can share your thoughts with me over on Twitter. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. If you're listening, again, the Dynasty After Dark YouTube channel and Rumble channel, I'm going to be continuing to put out content all off season. And one of the things, just to drop a little quick hint here, that I'm looking to do during the season is a live watch-along party for the Thursday night football games. So if you like the content and you're interested, questions, roster questions, start sits, things like that are things that I'm going to be trying to do in season, because I'm not the best in season podcast host. I fully admit that, but I'm trying to create more content for you guys because I appreciate you guys listening, and I'm trying to help you guys win as many titles as possible. That's the whole reason why I'm here, is to help you guys win titles. And these three wide receivers here that I just listed will definitely help you win titles this season. So thank you guys so much for listening, and good night.